Welcome to UPLEVEL, Real Health, Real Talk with Dr. Jenna Blasi. I'm Dr. Jenna. I spent years crafting ways to help women thrive, and I want to help you do the same. On this podcast, we dive deep into health at every level, focusing on the mind, the body, and the spirit. This is where real conversations meet transformational wellness. We'll be talking about all the things that truly matter, from nutrition and fitness to lifestyle, mindset, and personal development. Plus, the real deal on managing stress and navigating menopause. So if you're ready to elevate your health journey with authentic, transformative insights, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Hello there. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I wanted to pop on here really quickly, interrupting my episode, to apologize for the quality of the video this week. So something happened, the audio was fine, but if for those of you watching the video, you can see that it's very staggered and staticky and actually doesn't normalize until about 2/3 of the way in. So the very end of the podcast, about the last 10 minutes or so, the video is better. And I was about to re-record it. And sometimes I always believe everything happens for a reason. And so when I have to re-record something or there's a technical glitch, I always figure it's going to be better the second time. But in this case, I thought it was interesting that this week's episode is on perfectionism and letting go of perfectionism. So I decided, in the spirit of letting go of perfectionism, I was going to let the video feed be what it is, not re-record it, and represent that it's possible to just let it go and you can still hear me. And if you stick it all the way through the last 10 minutes, the video is better as well. So thanks so much for understanding. And I hope this inspires you to let go of perfectionism in your life as well. Hello and welcome to UPLEVEL, Real Health, Real Talk with Dr. Jenna Blasi. Today's topic is the power of self-talk and letting go of perfectionism. This is a really big topic, especially for women. What I want to discuss is how our self-talk shapes our reality and why perfectionism holds us back and is one of our greatest sabotaging techniques that we use on ourselves. Why does this matter? Our inner dialogue can determine our success, our happiness, and our well-being, as well as the health of our relationships. I like to quote Henry Ford frequently: whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Nobody wins a race, running the race thinking, I can't do this, I'm not going to make it, I can't do this, right? So let's break this down. There is science behind self-talk. So what is self-talk? It's the internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. It is how we talk to ourselves in our heads. It is the chatter that goes on in our heads, and it influences our emotions. It influences our actions. There are research-backed benefits of positive self-talk. Studies have shown improved performance, improved resilience. So they've done studies in sports psychology and cognitive therapy. We've talked about this in the visualization as well. Visualization goes hand in hand with how we talk to ourselves. We don't typically visualize ourselves beyond where we see ourselves. Well, ideally, we are visualizing ourselves beyond where we see ourselves, but our current self-talk can pull us back from that, is what I'm trying to say. And so these can go together. And they've also found that positive self-talk lowers stress levels, it enhances our mental health, it improves our motivation and our problem-solving abilities. Think about if you wake up in the morning and you're tired and you've made a commitment to yourself to work out every day or to eat healthy, and in your head you're beating yourself up. I can't believe you're so stupid. I can't believe you ate that cake yesterday. You're so weak and you can't even exercise. You can't even get out of bed. That's not motivating, right? That's not going to get us up and feeling great and ready to do the things that we've committed to do. So examples of negative versus positive self-talk would be, I always mess up, right? That's negative self-talk. That's being hard on ourselves. I always mess up versus I'm learning and I'm improving. Or a big one for many of us is I'm not good enough. And that shows up in our heads in a lot of different ways. I'm not good enough. And so a positive version would be I'm capable and I'm growing. Comparing ourselves to others will bring a lot of I'm not good enough. We think everybody else has it together. Everybody else, this person looks better than I do. This person has it going on. And so we want to start to shift this because as I said, our self-talk determines our success, our happiness, and also what we bring into our lives. In one of the books I'm going to talk about later is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And one of the things that is noted in that book is we cannot outperform our self-image. So if we have really low self-image, really low self-worth, we will not outperform that. We will not set goals for ourselves that allow us to grow and achieve more. So how do we shift this? How do we shift this? Awareness is probably the first step. Recognizing the self-talk, listening to what's going on in your head, telling it to be quiet, and recognizing our limiting beliefs. The only limitations we have are in our own minds. And all of the very successful people, someone, a public figure, an author, anybody who's achieved really amazing things in their lives, has overcome their self-imposed limitations or the limitations that were imposed by those around them, by their family members telling them they never amount to anything or telling them they couldn't do something, or your neighbor or your friends telling you that's crazy, you can't do that. The people that have achieved the most in the world have gone beyond that. So awareness, recognizing our limiting beliefs and learning to replace them with all of anything's possible, with the belief that anything's possible. And then reframing, replacing these limiting beliefs, replacing these limiting thoughts with empowering statements, sort of like the little engine that could, right? Instead of, I don't think I can, I'm too little, I'm not good enough. It's I think I can, or I know I will. And then action. Use affirmations, use journaling, use mindfulness techniques, and take action to positively change your self-talk, your self-image, etc. And so looking at your self-talk and repeating what I just said, awareness, that's the first step for everything. Growth, we can't grow if we don't know what we're working with, where we are and where we want to go. It's like setting the coordinates on your GPS, like when I talked about in the vision and goal achieving podcast. We have to know where we are and where we want to go. And so we reframe, we replace these limiting beliefs, this negative self-talk, with empowering statements. I am so capable. I am a amazing public speaker, like whatever it is that you want to do, replacing the limiting beliefs and the beliefs of all the reasons that you can't and all the things that are missing with positive empowering, and then taking action regularly, using affirmations, journaling, mindfulness techniques, intention, having intention throughout the day. I have talked frequently about, I use the Think Up app for affirmations, and I set intention throughout the day to bring awareness to my thoughts, to bring awareness to where I'm pushing outside of my comfort zone. I wear jewelry that has messages on it to remind me, like this necklace that I'm wearing says, blessed, guided, and loved. And I have a ring that, it's actually a necklace with a ring on it that says, remember who the F you are. And so, which is our true higher self, right? Our spiritual DNA is perfect. So setting reminders on your phone, wearing reminders, like whatever works for you, to constantly be in that place of your higher self where that positive self-talk can freely flow. Now, I want to address something that typically comes up in the context of positive thinking, positive self-talk, and that is this idea of toxic positivity. I am not talking about denying your emotions. I am not talking about suppressing your emotions. And I am not talking about Pollyanna bullshit where you're still feeling what you're feeling, but you're trying to tell yourself that you're not, and then you feel like you're lying. That's not what this is, okay? Distinguishing positive self-talk from toxic positivity looks a little bit like this. Healthy self-talk acknowledges challenges while encouraging resilience or encouraging growth and solutions. It's not that we're denying that a problem or a feeling exists, but what is the solution? Because we can stay in the problem till the end of time, right? That doesn't serve us. And I think it was Einstein that said something to the effect of the solution to the problem is not in the current problem. It's in a higher place. So toxic positivity dismisses real emotions and pressures you to quote unquote, just stay positive. Now, I am a very positive person. I believe in being positive. I believe in switching my mood as quickly as possible when I'm not in a good place. That doesn't mean I deny what I'm feeling. That doesn't mean I don't acknowledge the quote unquote reality. But I know that my soul, my spirit is bigger than the current quote unquote problem. And to be honest, most of which is first world, right? So all the negative self talk and the feelings I have are coming from a place of ego. So I try to shift them, but it's not about denying. So, for example, this is tough, but I can handle it, right? This is tough, but I am capable of figuring this out. Versus just think happy thoughts and ignore the struggle. Everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about. It's different, right? So positive self-talk encourages kindness without denying your struggles. It's a balanced perspective. It recognizes both the strengths and the areas for improvement. Toxic positivity, as I understand it, dismisses real emotions. You're ignoring or suppressing difficult feelings instead of addressing them. It's like, oh, I'm not angry, and just pushing it down. And we all know anything you push down, this is why I do natural medicine, right? Because the pills that conventional medicine offers us just suppresses the symptoms. Just push down the symptoms, suppress the symptoms, and it's the body trying to communicate with us. So the symptoms, they don't go away, they get louder or they come out a different avenue. They find a way to communicate with us. So suppressing never works. Force never works. And so toxic positivity, it's like forcing over optimism. It promotes good vibes only, makes people feel guilty. Well, nobody can make us feel anything, but the idea of like you should feel guilty for emotions that you're having. So like allow, like I talk about guilt and shame. We've got to get rid of this. These are low, low vibration feelings. Death is at zero. So when they look at the Hawkins scale of frequency, zero is death. And I think it was like 15 or 20 were shame and guilt, right? And love and gratitude are up at, we want to be 500 or above. I think love and gratitude are up like 1500. I might not be remembering my numbers correctly, but higher vibration. And as I said, I am someone that tries to stay in that higher vibration. I aim, I should say, to shift and to shift into gratitude when I'm feeling a lower emotion. So the reason I encourage people to get out of shame or guilt, they're very low vibration. They don't do us any good and they eat away at our insides. But that doesn't mean that you don't acknowledge that you have it. It doesn't mean that we make ourselves feel badly about having it. Just acknowledge like, okay, I feel guilt. Like, for example, one of the guilt things that I struggle to get rid of is mom guilt when that comes up, like leaving my kids or going away, not leaving my kids, but going away. And so we can make a conscious choice. Is this real? Is this something I really should be feeling guilty or shameful about? We make a conscious choice to reframe it and take actions to replace it with something different. But we're not forcing. Force negates, force pushes things further away or deeper into us, as the case may be in discussing our emotions. And toxic positivity also avoids reality, fails to acknowledge our struggles or challenges that need real solutions. But from the studies, from my understanding, changing our mind is a real solution. Learning to think correctly is a real solution. So the toxic positivity would say just be happy and don't think about it. I'm not saying just be happy, and I'm not saying don't think about it, but let's not dwell on it because it's not real. The thoughts that lead to, oh, I should feel shame about XYZ, right? We all have things that we wish maybe had gone differently or wish we'd handled differently, but can we look at it from a growth opportunity? So we're not denying the experience, but to go into shame or guilt, we can choose to reject that. Okay, I made a mistake. People make mistakes. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm making an active choice. I'm not going to beat myself up. And I'm going to look for a real solution, which is reminding myself of all the good that I've done. So whatever the solution is, we're acknowledging it's the same way when we're looking at, like I have mindset programs that I love working with people on how do we think correctly and really create the reality that we want. And just like someone who's won an amazing race, for example, sees themselves winning it, visualizes themselves winning it. Simone Biles in the Olympics, you could hear her or see her mouthing to herself, like, I've got this, I can do this, I can do this. And so we are replacing and reaffirming. And so healthy self-talk, we're going to validate our emotions while encouraging resilience. Whereas toxic positivity denies real struggles and pressures people to suppress negative emotions. And the more we suppress, we know that doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And it will just, it blows up even bigger. This is why, in my opinion, this is largely why we're so sick as a culture, because we've been suppressing and take pills and just, take out an organ, but don't address whatever led to the organ needing to be removed. And eventually it shows up in another way. And so, again, you might need at some point to remove the organ or to take the medication, but let's address the underlying cause. So I guess that's my point here is we're not suppressing, we're not forcing, we're not pretending it doesn't exist, but we're going underneath it and creating a real solution to change the way we think. And the things that used to take me weeks to get over, and then they took me maybe a week to get over, and then a few days, and then a few hours, and now I try not to stay in things for very long at all. So it gets easier. I've gotten better and better at it personally because I've worked really hard on it, but I still feel the feels. I just don't accept some of the thoughts that led me to feelings that I'm able to see from a higher perspective are not real. And what I mean by that, I want to clarify again, I'm not saying anger is not real. I'm not saying sadness is not real. I'm saying that, for example, I think of the best way to put an analogy or a metaphor on this. Like, to me, death is not real. Okay. It is a transformation. We are just transforming into another form. Our soul, in my belief, does not die. It leaves this body, this spacesuit. Does that mean I'm not sad if someone dies? No. But within that grief, within that sadness, I can still find a higher perspective and know that that soul lives on, right? And that I will reunite with that soul someday. Or anyway, I go into a little bit of a different direction here, but I just wanted to separate these two because I think it's really important because I do discuss a lot how much our thoughts matter, and we don't want to dwell in negativity, but I want to be clear on the difference between this isn't about denying, just like let's say you're in a financial bind, there is abundance in the universe. There's a way to create abundance. And so many of the people who are super successful today came from poverty, came from really difficult situations, had times in their life where they were bankrupt or foreclosure. So the reality to them in that moment was no money or a lot of debt, right? But the bigger reality was that they could change it. And so we want to come from that, ideally from that place of what's possible. Okay, so let's talk about perfectionism. Why do we need to let go of this? One of the biggest reasons most people don't do things and get their light out in the world is they're stuck in perfectionism. So it's unrealistic expectations. A need to be this idea of perfect, like everything has to be exactly so, and it leads to stress and self-doubt and burnout. And the hidden costs are immense. Like I said, you're not going to get your light out into the world because we tend to not act. It is the biggest form of procrastination. Perfectionism can bring with it a paralyzing fear of failure and procrastination. So perfectionism paralyzes us. And we're with the fear of failure, and then we don't do it. We procrastinate. So this struggles with self-worth, imposter syndrome. This impacts our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health. And research has shown us that perfectionism is linked to anxiety, depression, lower life satisfaction. And on the flip side, self-compassion improves resilience, improves well-being. And so just do the thing. It does not have to be perfect, because if you keep waiting for it to be perfect and all the stars to align, we will never do the thing. This is what happens with people's health. I'll say, when is enough enough? When are you going to put yourself on the priority list? Because the fear of failure, oh, it will be another failed diet, it will be another failed, I work out and I work out and I don't see the changes. And so then we kind of give up. And if we look at progress over perfectionism, then we'll always keep going. So this is the big shift, shifting from perfectionism to progress. I hope that this podcast is better every single time. And I hope and expect that in a year, it will be 10 times better than it is today or when I started. Should I have waited to start until it was perfect? That's not even a thing, right? And so I never would have started. And that's true of anything. So we have to actually embrace imperfection, because this gets us out doing stuff that we wouldn't otherwise do, because done is better than perfect. So celebrate the small wins, celebrate your personal growth, and redefine success as progress, not perfection, not flawlessness. When we have a big goal, and you only judge yourself from the goal, you'll never be there. But if you judge yourself from where you came, like I said, I still have a long way to go in my emotional discipline ism and getting to the place where the outside doesn't affect me. But from where I've come, holy cow, leaps and bounds, leaps and bounds. So I'm going to celebrate and measure myself from where I've come and keep my eye on being better and better every day. So redefine your success as progress, especially when it comes to weight and health. It's not a linear path. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back at times, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So if we're always looking at progress and celebrating the wins of consistency, celebrating the wins of discipline, that is huge. Then we're always winning. We're always winning, and we are seeing the progress, even if it's slow. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. You'll hit a plateau, but if you give up in the plateau, you'll never get there. But if you're like, okay, consistency and progress, and even though I'm at a plateau, I'm going to tweak things until something shifts, and then I'm making that progress again. It is a recipe for success, 100%. Okay, so let's talk about some actionable strategies to implement what we're talking about. Daily practices for positive self-talk. Start the day with affirmations. Start the day with positive self-affirmations. How many of us get up, we hit the ground running, for one. We start the day thinking about all the things we're already behind before we even started. Oh my gosh, I have so much to do today. Da, da, da. So start the day, morning routine, right, is that whole other really wonderful, I would say crucial thing that we need in our lives is a solid morning routine. And that solid morning routine would include positive self-talk. So start the day with affirmations. If you do them in the mirror, you are going directly into your subconscious by looking at yourself in the eyes. It is very uncomfortable at first, but it will get easier. You will get used to it. I promise you. Start the day with the positive I am statements. I like to tell people, think of talking to yourself as if you were talking to your child, or if you don't have children, a child, right? Would you start the day going, you look kind of fat today. Those clothes don't look very good on you. Man, what's up with your hair? Ooh, good luck today. You don't look good. Oh, you're so tired. Are you okay? Are you going to make it through your day? And imagine we said the things to a small little innocent being that we say to ourselves. And unfortunately, this is why a lot of us are in this situation, because somebody did do that to us. The number of patients that I work with whose family, mom, dad, brother, sister, whomever, usually a parent, unfortunately, told them over and over again they were fat, or they weren't good enough, or they were never going to amount to anything. It's heartbreaking, honestly. We have to reprogram that. And repetition reprograms it, because it was years of repetition that programmed us in the first place to believe that we're not amazing. I caught myself from swearing. My podcast is still labeled as clean. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep that designation. Those of you that know me know I like my occasional, semi-occasional F-bomb. I'm not doing it yet on the podcast, but if you're easily offended, first of all, don't be. Life is too short to be easily offended. But if you are, then you might be offended one of these days. But anyway, to know how amazing you are, right? How effing amazing you are. And so start the day with that positivity. Practice gratitude for what you have, for where you are, and for your progress. not your perfection, your progress, and reframe failures as learning opportunities. And spoiler alert, nobody is perfect. Despite what the magazines and the billboards and Hollywood wants everybody to think, nobody is perfect. And they've done studies where they've shown women in waiting rooms of doctors' offices or wherever that have like the Cosmopolitan, People magazine, whatever all those magazines are, that within 15 to 20 seconds of looking at them, they're depressed because we compare ourselves to others and these photoshopped, airbrushed pictures. That's not real. It's not real. Okay. So we have to break free from this. How do we break free from perfectionism? Be flexible. Focus on progress, not perfection. Allow room for mistakes and self-compassion. I want you to set big goals. I want you to set big goals. You know, everyone tells us set SMART goals, right? Set realistic goals so we can feel good about ourselves. So there's a balance. I want you to dream big, but also be realistic in the sense of your body's not going to change overnight, right? If you're doing diligent work with manifesting the life of your dreams, it takes time. Trust that it's happening. So be quote unquote realistic in that regard. And allow room for mistakes, self-compassion, surround yourself. This is so key with supportive, growth-minded people. We are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? As we increase our awareness, some old friends start to drop off. Some relationships don't survive. Surround yourself with growth-minded people that celebrate you, that want the best for you, that are supportive. And be careful with your big dreams. You don't have to share them. Share them in your mind, share them with the universe, but you don't have to share them with people that are going to poo-poo them. If you want to go deeper into this, there's a variety of books. I'm going to tell you 2 that I've read, and that's Mindset by Carol Dweck, and that's Understanding the Power of a Growth Mindset. It's the Psychology of Success, and the mindset book dives deep into the power of belief systems and how they shape our success. And she has sections for teachers and parents and coaches. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it on Audible. And then I love, and I teach frequently for my members, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, because this looks at how self-image and thought patterns shape success. He was a plastic surgeon and he would do a surgery. And for one person, it would be, oh my gosh, like that was the one, you did my nose and that was the one thing on my face that, oh, I feel so much better. And other people, they would see themselves exactly the same. And he started to see how our mindset shapes how we're viewing everything. And so that's an excellent choice as well. And it explores self-image and how it influences what we believe we can and can't do, how we see ourselves and our actions, how it influences our actions and our potential. So a couple other books that have been recommended to me, I just want to mention, but I haven't read them for full disclosure. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. I do like Brene Brown, but I haven't read this book. But it does a deep dive into embracing vulnerability and letting go of the need to be perfect. And another one that was recommended to me, my list of books to get through is quite long. And thank goodness for Audible. But the book Chatter by Ethan Kross focuses on specifically managing your inner voice and turning self-talk into a tool for success rather than self-sabotage. So again, I haven't read those 2, but they were recommended to me, so I would just pass those along. All right, so to close, your self-talk shapes your reality. Choose wisely. Your thoughts today, your self-talk today determines tomorrow. The talk of today is our reality. Look at the state of your relationships. That's what you think of yourself and what you think you're worthy of. Look at your bank account. That's your belief around money and what you feel you can and can't do in this world. Look at your health. Every aspect of our life shows us our belief system, and it starts with how we talk to ourselves and in the world. So choose wisely. Perfectionism is a roadblock. Progress is the goal. And this is extra important at this time of year when people start to kind of fade, right? And they're like, oh, I'm not seeing the progress, or oh gosh, I already am not eating well again, or I already stopped moving my body. And then we just kind of give up. You don't have to be perfect. Just keep going. Consistency. So progress is the goal. And I would add consistency. And small mindset shifts lead to massive transformation. And I see this over and over again in myself and others and the people that I coach. These shifts are life-changing. So a reflective question you can ask yourself, what is one way I can speak to myself more kindly? So that is the question I pose to you. What is one way you can speak more kindly to yourself today? And when you hear yourself with the negative self-talk, imagine you're talking to the little girl inside of you or the little boy. Here's a homework assignment. I'm going to challenge you for the next 7 days, practice positive self-talk and track your changes. Track your changes. Every time you catch yourself with a negative self-talk, replace it. Pretend you're talking to a friend and you're talking them up. They feel bad and you're being authentic. That's another difference between toxic positivity and true positive self-talk is we're being authentic. And some people will say with the affirmations, they feel like they're lying to themselves. And I like to say you're coming from your future self. You're coming from your higher self. We're not lying to yourself. You're coming from the best version of yourself. All right. And as if you're talking to someone else who would have no problem telling you all the things, somebody who loves you would have no problem telling you all the things they love about you and all the ways in which you're fantastic. Right. So next 7 days, practice positive self-talk, track the changes, track your mood, track the chatter in your head, share your insight with us on social media at UPLEVEL Holistic Health. And to finish, I'll finish with a quote by Brene Brown. Talk to yourself like someone you love. The love starts within us, and then we can really bring it to the world. Talk to yourself like someone you love. So thank you all so much for joining me today. I think this is such a crucial topic, and it is a life changer and a game changer. And so if you liked it, I invite you to subscribe and share it with your friends. Share it with somebody else who you think could benefit from this conversation, from this discussion on self-talk and letting go of perfectionism. And most of the women I know are perfectionists. I often say I'm an actively recovering perfectionist. So let's actively recover together. Let's replace that self-talk and let's start to thrive, because it starts in our head. Thriving starts in our head. So you are all perfect exactly as you are. You are worthy just for having been born. I'm so grateful again for you being here. Thank you so much. Share, subscribe, leave us a rating, leave us a review, and can't wait to see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of UPLEVEL, Real Health, Real Talk. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your health journey. One that nourishes not just your body, but your mind and spirit as well. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's episode, please leave a review. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep thriving. And remember, true wellness is a journey, and you are on the right path.